All right, let's just jump right in. In this new AI economy we're all living in, building wealth, it's not about climbing some corporate ladder anymore. It's about building loops. These self-reinforcing systems that let you out-earn, outpace, and outmaneuver pretty much everyone else, because your success actually compounds on itself.
So, here's the fundamental shift you have to get your head around. We're moving from linear thinking to loop thinking. I'm telling you, the winners in 2026, they're going to be the ones who build the fastest, smartest feedback loops. And why is this so critical right now? Well, because there's this massive financial shift happening. And honestly, our brains are just not built to handle it.
I mean, think about it. There are two big concepts human brains have always struggled with. First, exponential growth. And second, self-improving systems. Well, guess what? Right now, the entire global economy is getting rewired around those two ideas at the exact same time. It's happening at a scale and a speed that is completely unprecedented.
And if you want proof, just look at these numbers. I mean, the speed here is just insane. ChatGPT hits 100 million users in 60 days. That was the fastest app growth in history. Then, OpenAI's video tool, Sora 2, does it even faster. And it's not just about user growth. You've got AI-native companies like Cursor hitting $100 million in revenue in just 12 to 18 months. This is the new normal. This is the pace we're all playing at now.
So that brings us right into our first wealth loop, the balance loop. And let's be really clear, this has absolutely nothing to do with work-life balance. Nope. This is about walking a tightrope, carefully balancing two really powerful, opposing forces, so you can go from being just another interesting idea to something people absolutely cannot live without.
So what exactly is this loop?
Well, it's this constant, continuous act of balancing your unique asymmetric advantage, that's the thing that only you can bring to the table, against your customer's most acute pain, the problem that's keeping them up at night. Let's break those two forces down a little bit.
Okay, so on one side of the tightrope, you have your asymmetric advantage. This is your secret weapon. For instance, there's a story about an investment banker, 20 years of experience, who gets laid off because of AI. So what does he do? He uses that deep, niche knowledge of due diligence to buy a small insurance claims company, injects it with AI, and boom, it just takes off. His 20 years of experience was the advantage nobody else had. And then on the other side, you have your customer's acute pain, a problem that's urgent, it's frequent, and it's genuinely painful for them. So seriously, take a second and ask yourself, what's yours? Maybe you've spent a decade in some boring legacy industry that nobody understands but you. Or maybe you've personally experienced a customer problem so deeply that you know it inside and out. That firsthand knowledge, that's a powerful, powerful advantage.
And this is where you see the danger of being unbalanced. If you've got this incredible advantage, but you're not solving a real urgent pain, well, you build a clever product that nobody ever buys. And if you chase a huge pain point, but you have no unique advantage, you just get crushed by the competition. You've got to stay on that tightrope. The goal isn't to chase these mythical billion-dollar markets, it's to fix those $1,000 frustrations that are happening a million times over.
So how do you stay on the rope? You activate this loop through constant testing. It's simple, really. List your advantages, identify a few potential customer pains, and then, and this is the game changer, use AI to test your ideas and assumptions in a matter of hours, not months. You lean left, you lean right, as long as you keep your balance on that rope, you're always moving forward.
Okay, so let's move on to our second loop, because this is where it really starts to accelerate. This is the speed loop. In the AI economy, you have to understand product market fit, it's not a destination. It's not a place you just arrive at and relax. It is a moving target that you have to chase every single day.
And the best example of this is a company called Cursor. They make a platform that helps developers code with AI. Now, just look at this number, $100 million in revenue. They did that in 18 months. That is the fastest growth in the history of enterprise software, period.
So how on earth did they do it? Well, it comes down to one word, speed. Cursor ships new features every single day. In the old world, that would be considered totally reckless. But today, they don't have 6 months for some big, fancy release. They build in public, they learn in real time, and, this is the genius part, they dog food their own product. The engineers at Cursor are literally using Cursor to build Cursor. It creates this incredibly fast, tight feedback loop.
And here's why this is so important for you. That old idea of a nice, tidy, quarterly product roadmap, it's dead. It's over. You can't possibly plan 18 months out when the fundamental AI models you're building on are changing every single week. You have to chase product market fit daily. Launch
learn, level up. And then you repeat it. The more you learn, the more you earn. It's that simple.
Okay, so you're balanced, you're moving incredibly fast. But what happens when the competition starts copying your every move? Well, this brings us to our third and maybe most important loop, the signal loop. This is your ultimate shield, and the best way to explain it is with the tale of two companies.
So the signal loop, it's really about one thing: treating actual user behavior as your single source of truth. Not what users say they'll do, but what they actually do. It creates this feedback system where the more your product is used, the smarter and better it gets all on its own.
Think about YouTube. Every single thing you see on that screen, the thumbnails, the titles, the order of the videos, it's all a massive real-time experiment. YouTube isn't sitting around asking, what do we think people will like? No, it's constantly asking, how can we learn from what viewers are actually doing right now? That behavior feeds its AI, which gets better at recommendations, which makes you watch longer, which creates more data, which makes the AI even smarter. See the loop? The more you use it, the more you will use it.
And now let's look at the complete opposite, Quibi. They raised almost $2 billion. They had this one big fixed idea for short-form video. But when the user data started screaming that people weren't sticking around, what did they do? They spent all their energy defending their original idea instead of just listening to the signals. They had no learning loop, and they shut down in 6 months. $1.5 billion just gone.
So the lesson here is absolutely crucial. Your real defense, your real shield, it's not a feature. Features get copied. It's not a business model. Those get ripped off. Your defense is the speed at which you notice reality is changing and you adjust to it. That culture of learning, that is almost impossible to copy.
All right, let's talk about the final loop. And in a way, this is the most critical one, the sweat equity loop. You know, if the other loops are the machinery, this is the human engine that powers the whole thing. It's about all that unseen work, the grit, that forms the true foundation of your net worth.
You've probably heard that old startup myth, just hire the best people and get out of their way. Well, today, for an AI-native founder, that advice is fatal. Your job is not to delegate and disappear. It is to sweat every single detail. Why? Because an AI product is never finished. It's a living, breathing, evolving system, and it needs constant human intuition to guide it. This is the loop that quietly, day after day, turns your sweat equity into actual net worth. It's that deep, unshakable conviction in what you're building that gives you the obsessive grit to stay in the trenches when 99% of other people would just quit. And this isn't just about working hard. It's that deep, hands-on understanding that allows you to steer the speed loop and correctly interpret the signal loop. That unseen work, that's your real competitive edge.
But, okay, what if you do all that work, you put in the sweat, and you stumble, you fall? That's not just okay. It's kind of expected. In this new world, you have to remember that falling is not failing. It's just data collection for your most important model, you.
You know, a spiritual master once said, "The whole forest lives in a single leaf, and every single leaf must eventually fall. But when it falls, it doesn't fail. It feeds the soil, and it gives birth to something entirely new. So when you fall, you give birth to something even more valuable than your original idea. You give birth to wisdom. And let's be honest, wealth without wisdom never lasts very long anyway."
And this brings us to the final and I think the most important question of all. It's not just about what you're building. It's not just about how much you're earning. The real question is, who are you becoming as you run these loops? Because what you leave behind, the wisdom, the experience, the growth, that might just become the soil for someone else's beginning. And that is the most valuable loop of all.